up on Evening Edition.
We're going to make sure that what we're doing is taking the best possible approach and make sure that the veterans are being taken care of, not only in our health care, but in our benefits as well.
After recent cuts to federal programs, many are concerned for the benefits offered to veterans. We'll speak with the U.S. Secretary of Veteran Affairs. Plus,
I feel like it's a good way to, get all the voices equally heard.
Protests on college campuses across the Commonwealth as students are upset over the termination of DEI programs. We'll hear from those in attendance. And
this is to bring us back to work and bring our government agents back to work so that we can serve those people.
New legislation could bring remote state workers back to the office. We'll hear from those in favor and those opposed. Evening Edition starts now. Good evening, I'm Megan Mannering.
And I'm Larry Smith. As Elon Musk's Doge teams continue to make cuts in federal services and employees, there are concerns that things like critical healthcare services for veterans will be cut.
Today, U.S. Secretary of Veteran Affairs Doug Collins visited Lexington's VA hospital, and we used the opportunity to ask if those that rely on the VA in Kentucky should be worried. LEX 18's political reporter Carolina Buchek has the story.
This week, billions of dollars in VA cuts were temporarily paused after there was pushback from lawmakers and veterans who are worried that cuts to the VA will result in loss of critical care. The Associated Press looked into the contracts that were at risk of being cut, and reports show that they would affect everything from cancer care to the ability to assess toxic exposure. But today in Lexington, U.S. Secretary of Veteran Affairs Doug Collins said there won't be cuts to benefits or services for veterans or VA beneficiaries, and that there will be no negative impact to VA health care.
We're making sure that our veterans are being taken care of, and that's what I'm committed to.
Despite the temporary pause announced in VA cuts, many federal workers are still feeling pretty nervous. So today we got to bring those concerns directly to the guy in charge, the Secretary of Veteran Affairs.
There may be people in this very building who are employed here that are concerned for their jobs, though. What do you tell those people?
Well, the first thing is they can go through their own leadership to make sure that their position is where they are, especially if they're working with areas of our patients and others, especially that mention that mission, is go and make sure that they're properly coded in their system, that we're in that exempt. We have, again, y'all did hear me, 300,000 plus positions have been exempted. Now, I know that may sound strange. We've got more exemptions than most departments have employees. So we've done everything we possibly can. And if there is, let me just say this. If they are concerned, talk to their leadership, make sure we look at it. Will there be some people let go? Yes, we've already had that happen. Okay, that's part of this process, just like it is happening in private enterprise right now. But we're going to make sure that what we're doing is taking the best possible approach and make sure that the veterans are being taken care of, not only in our health care, but in our benefits as well.
So what types of positions at the VA are at risk of being cut?
There's things like interior designers. There's things like, technicians, stock issues, contracts issues. We're looking very heavily at our backroom. We're looking very heavily at our central office.
In Lexington, Carolina Buchek, LEX 18 News.
College students across the state are protesting Kentucky's anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion legislation.
LEX 18's AJ Patel is at UK, where the Kentucky Students for DEI held a protest earlier today.
Yeah, thank you. Protesters gathered at the library on UK's campus around 5 o'clock today, met up for some speeches, and then marched all the way down to the Wildcat statue right behind me. As you can see, the crowd is now fully dispersed. They just left moments ago, and these students were protesting House Bill 4 and Senate Bill 164. These bills would prohibit post-secondary education institutions or the government from providing differential treatment or benefits to those based on someone's race, gender, or religion. I got the chance to chat with some students who weren't part of the protest, but were just walking by. They said having people with diverse backgrounds on campus is valuable.
I think it's something worth fighting for, and I think a lot of Republicans right now are making it into like a hill to die on, while there's a lot more pressing issues, like people can't really afford eggs, for example.
Now, there are other students I chatted with off camera who have different viewpoints. They think people should be hired or gain college admittance based off of their qualifications alone. There was about 50 to 75 students at this protest at University of Kentucky, but Kentucky Students for DEI have been protesting across the state all day long, starting today at 10 o'clock at Northern Kentucky State University. In Lexington, AJ Patel, Evening Edition.
Well, you've had a pretty good week of weather, but can we top it off with a lovely weekend forecast?
We'll see. Let's send it over to meteorologist Emily McKinney for a look at what's in store.
Well, if there's anything that you can count on in Kentucky, it is for the weather to change just within a matter of what seems like hours. But usually it takes a couple of days for us to see those changes. We've had some really nice weather this week. Yes, that is for certain. And no, it's not going to stick around, unfortunately, for the weekend. But this is a gorgeous way to end our Friday. It is still windy, of course, but we have crystal clear skies right now. Winds are starting to come down. We peaked at 43 miles per hour today at the airport. We're now sustained at 17 miles per hour. Again, mild temperatures. We topped out in the low to the mid 60s. We're going to see those temperatures falling into the 40s and eventually the 30s tonight. Winds right now, again, sustained between 10 and 20 miles per hour for the most part. Again, we've had those gusts up around 30, maybe even 40 miles per hour for some. So we're still under that wind advisory. Some of the counties up around the Cincinnati area, northern Kentucky, have been dropped from this, but it is still going to go on until midnight. Beyond that, we will start to see calming conditions. Right now, Max track is clear. We don't have any rain to track. There looks like maybe a shower trying to fall up to the north. This is from a passing cold front, which, yes, is bringing our temperatures down into the weekend. Highs in the low 40s tomorrow, upper 30s on Sunday, but back up closer to 50 degrees by Monday. Looking a little bit more spring-like next week. We'll talk about that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Thanks, Emily. A reminder, LEX 18 is partnering with the Scripps Howard Fund to help victims of recent flooding. So far, we have raised over $30,000. You can check out your screen there for more information on how to give. All of the money raised will directly support the Christian Appalachian Project. Sunday is the final day for donations. As the Trump administration orders federal workers across the country to come back to the office full time, lawmakers in Kentucky are looking to do the same thing here at home.
A bill that passed out of the state Senate last week would ban state employees from doing remote work unless a state of emergency is declared. Noelle Friel has more on both sides of that issue.
A controversial amendment added to Kentucky Senate Bill 79 would bring thousands of state workers back to the office full time.
Many members of this caucus, and I assume both sides of the aisle, received countless emails from constituents regarding phones not being answered, people who try to reach someone and decide to drive to Frankfort to have their issue addressed in person and no one's there.
State Senator Lindsey Titchener introduced the amendment last week, arguing the change would improve government efficiency.
This is to bring us back to work and bring our government agents back to work so that we can serve those people.
I've heard from dozens of people, many of whom live in my district in Louisville. And what these folks tell me is this bill is going to have a devastating impact on my ability to do my job.
Senator Cassie Chambers Armstrong, who represents District 19 in Jefferson County, voted against the amendment. She argues many state employees have planned their lives around a hybrid work schedule and worries the change would cause the state to lose crucial workers.
A lot of folks, they're not able to make that change. They have life circumstances that will prevent them from doing that. Maybe they have to care for children or for older relatives. Maybe there's someone that lives in a rural county that can't make that commute to Frankfort every day.
It's a concern Mary Elizabeth Bailey, the secretary of the Kentucky Personnel Cabinet, shares. In a letter to the bill's sponsor, Bailey expresses a long list of concerns with banning hybrid work, including the fact that the bill makes no exceptions to allow employees to work from home while sick or on any type of leave. In the letter, Bailey also says the measure would harm the retention and recruitment of positions like social workers, which the state has been working to improve.
We're going to see a lot of folks who end up no longer wanting to be public servants or being able to be and end up quitting their jobs.
The Kentucky Personnel Cabinet says 33% of executive branch employees currently use a hybrid partial telework schedule. Only 11% of employees telecommute full-time, including employees whose office building is undergoing renovation, those who telework as an ADA accommodation, and certain IT positions.
That's Noelle Friel reporting. Kentucky students could soon be required to take a financial literacy class before they graduate. To create flexibility for students, the credit would count toward current credit requirements for math, social studies, or an elective. The course would address gaps in knowledge about how to handle your personal finances, like applying for a loan or how to invest. House Bill 342 passed through committee yesterday. It now heads to the House floor for a vote before it would be sent to the Senate. Well, the fight for women's representation in STEM fields continues.
Still to come, we'll look at how an event at EKU helps women working to build careers.
Turn to experts on LEX 18, from medical services to home improvement professionals and everything in between. Presented by Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, Peterson Law Office, Envision Remodeling, and Rewind Hair Loss Clinic.
Your favorite Wildcats.
Favorite show. Everything you want to know about UK sports.
In a way you can't get anywhere else.
This is BBN Tonight.
Weeknights at 7:30.
BBN Tonight, sponsored locally by Nissan and UK Healthcare.
Coming soon to Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
He is the boogeyman.
Lori Daybell.
She said, I will have you destroyed.
She's got another murder trial coming up.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
We will not stop fighting. We have no quit.
Sean Diddy Combs arrested on a federal indictment.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My boss is the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifle man. Just make it good.
Ion is on with 3 networks to enjoy.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, showtime.
You're gonna want to see this.
It's on.
Ion, Ion Plus, and Ion Mystery.
Wow!
It's on.
How can anybody think I'm guilty? I said, OJ, everybody thinks you're guilty.
Trial and Error. Why did OJ win? New episode Sunday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
You're watching LEX 18, part of the Scripps News Group.
STEM Goes Red wrapped up this afternoon in Richmond.
That's a partnership between Eastern Kentucky University and the American Heart Association. LEX 18's Drew Ammon was in Madison County to see how this event helps women interested in STEM occupations.
This event is very impactful for Alyssa Perkins.
This is a motivator for young women like myself who are seniors or juniors who are not really sure what they want to do in their life.
The American Heart Association and Eastern Kentucky University teaming up for STEM Goes Red.
Gives us details about what could be in our future and then what kind of issues that could be helped and resolved.
Andrea Uten, AHA Executive Director for Eastern and Central Kentucky, points out some of those issues. Women continue to be underfunded and underrepresented in research and STEM fields.
Women represent about half of the jobs in the workforce right now, but unfortunately only about 25% of STEM jobs.
STEM Goes Red not only empowers and inspires young women from 10 local high schools, it provides a full spectrum of opportunities.
We have everybody from healthcare represented to engineering to transportation to utilities companies.
Couple it with EKU's involvement, and it's the reason why the STEM Center for Excellence exists.
We exist to help people grow into the people they're becoming, the next better version of themselves. And so connecting a student with what that next best person looks like is our mission.
Panels create strong bonds among 100 women in this program. Lessons from industry leaders make this an engaging experience.
Women helping women.
In the process, pursuing their dreams. In Madison County, Drew Ammon, Evening Edition.
Well, tomorrow is the first day of meteorological spring, and with it, fingers crossed for some spring-like temps.
Yeah, rubbing the rabbit's foot, everything. Emily has your full weekend forecast coming up after the break.
You
go get him, Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Turn to experts on LEX 18, from medical services to home improvement professionals and everything in between. Presented by Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, Peterson Law Office, Envision Remodeling, and Rewind Hair Loss Clinic.
Growing up, my mom was a local news anchor, and even when I was little, I saw my mom speak to people that you would never get an opportunity to speak with. That seemed interesting and also fulfilling to me. What set Scripps News apart, we traveled to the story. We talked to the people on the ground to bring the viewer details that impacts actual people's lives.
Liz Landers, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Your favorite Wildcats.
Favorite show. Everything you want to know about UK sports.
In a way you can't get anywhere else.
This is BBN Tonight.
Weeknights at 7:30.
BBN Tonight, sponsored locally by Nissan and UK Healthcare.
For the best high school sports coverage, get in the zone. Count on the LEX 18 High School Sports Zone. Friday nights during LEX 18 News at 11.
Sponsored by DQ.
Give me something new. I want the real you. That is the best idea I've ever heard. Yes, of course we can get you more.
Rex, go!
Angus MacGyver.
You know that was fun.
Just give me more.
Jesse Palmer?
So you do remember me, and I know you haven't been watching.
TV's expensive.
Not with Tableau. Pay once and watch happily ever after. You can record too. Learn more at TableauTV.com. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
Hopeful it's going to hold on, but not quite.
You can only do so much hoping, I feel
yeah.
like, and it just doesn't do a whole lot. I know.
Yeah, in Kentucky.
And I heard Bill say earlier, once he gets to March, he's done with the winter weather. I was finished, I think, at the first winter storm that we had.
Your tolerance is much lower than Bill's. Yeah.
In early January.
Glad he caught up to us.
Yes, yeah. So this week has been wonderful. If you remember, last week we had every day high temperatures in the 20s. Yeah. So today it just felt so much more of a relief. Last Friday highs were around 28 degrees. Today we reached a high of 63 degrees. 1 week, huge changes. We had a ton of sunshine today, of course, and now we're going to be trending back a little bit more, maybe February or maybe even January light coming up tomorrow. Chilly temperatures are on the horizon. Today we have had to deal with a lot of wind. We had the strongest gust in Lexington at the airport. 43 miles per hour earlier today. I said 40 to 45 miles per hour wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. Several counties have now fallen off from the wind advisory. So here in central and then western Kentucky, these may expire a little bit earlier than midnight as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But we got most of those in eastern Kentucky now kind of off the list from the wind advisory. However, winds are coming down a little bit, but we still have some gusts up around 25, 30 miles per hour right now, like in Frankfort. 25 mile per hour reading in Moorhead right now and close to 30 in the Covington area. So winds calm down a little bit tonight, but then they start to pick back up again tomorrow. Maybe not quite as high as today in that 10 to 15 mile per hour range. Definitely not feeling very March-like coming up tomorrow. But the good news is March is coming in like a lamb. So we'll have to wait and see toward the end of the month if it leaves like a lion. Spring-like storms, that's definitely going to be the big story of the week coming up next week, especially toward Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures right now again in the upper 50s, closing in on 60 degrees. It still feels pretty comfortable outside. You've got the mid 60s still over to the west, low 70s in around Oklahoma and Texas. Eventually our winds are going to shift. So the colder air that was up to the north, that's going to start to move our direction. Thankfully, this is a pretty dry cold front that's coming in. You do see some rain showers associated with this cold front as it starts to move into and through the area, though. We're going to see probably a slight bump in cloud cover. Otherwise, not much to write home about tonight. The winds shift. You see those coming in out of the northwest. So that means colder air on the horizon for tomorrow. We'll be fighting off some clouds. We'll call it partly sunny. We'll see a nice mixture of clouds and sun. But I think your sunnier of the 2 days will be Sunday. That will also be the cooler of the 2 days, as high temperatures may not even make it to the 40-degree mark, even though we have that high pressure system in place. Warmer air is on the horizon over to the west. That's going to move in for next week. Yes, tomorrow is meteorological spring. That's just basically a way that we kind of neatly package all of the spring months or fall months, whatever, together. Technically, we are 20 days away from actual spring or vernal equinox, but we're almost there. We have made it definitely past the worst of winter. We're still going to have some of these big swings in temperatures, but eventually as we get on into March, those really cold spells are going to be much more short-lived. So that's good, and that's what we have coming up this weekend. We're right back up into the low in the mid 60s though for a chunk of next week. Still chilly tonight. Low temperatures in the mid 30s to the low 40s, depending on where you are. Tomorrow, some sun, some clouds. Well, it's a nice day, but it's still breezy and still chilly. Highs again only in the low 40s. Your 8-day forecast, though, looking a lot better once we get past Sunday. Closing in on 50 degrees Monday in the 60s. Comes with several chances for rain showers and thunderstorms. And on the backside of that, we fall back into the 40s late next week with a few snowflakes trying to mix in with some of the raindrops.
Growing up, my mom was a local news anchor, and even when I was little, I saw my mom speak to people that you would never get an opportunity to speak with. That seemed interesting and also fulfilling to me. What set Scripps News apart, we traveled to the story. We talked to the people on the ground to bring the viewer details that impacts actual people's lives.
Liz Landers, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Your favorite Wildcats.
Favorite show. Everything you want to know about UK sports.
In a way you can't get anywhere else.
This is BBN Tonight.
Weeknights at 7:30.
BBN Tonight, sponsored locally by Nissan and UK Healthcare.
Junior achievement is where dreams take flight. We are helping students connect what they learn in school to future work and career success. We are teaching them how to manage money to achieve financial security as adults. And we are showing them that starting a business also means changing lives and communities. However, we can't do it alone. Find out how you can help.
Turn to experts on LEX 18, from medical services to home improvement professionals and everything in between. Presented by Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, Peterson Law Office, Envision Remodeling, and Rewind Hair Loss Clinic.
There are moments when it gets scary.
You hear shooting down there?
And the important thing to do is not panic. Be dynamic.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
I love that Scripps News gives me the opportunity to go where the stories are. You meet the most amazing people, everyday individuals whose stories take bravery to tell. These are stories the world should know about.
Jason Bellini, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from around the world, stream Scripps News.
This is where it gets interesting.
Count on the most trusted name in local weather, anytime, everywhere you need us. LEX 18 Storm Tracker Weather and MaxTrack Live Doppler. In partnership with Furniture World, Greenbox Home Services, and Thoroughbred Roofs.
My favorite part of this job is traveling, and there's nothing that can ever replace being on the ground, bringing a first-person perspective. There were videos of homes floating by. We are sharing stories that transcend whatever you might see on screen. This is by far the most widespread destruction. Give light, and the people will find their own way really is incredibly important in what journalism is supposed to be. Dan Grossman, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
You're watching LEX 18, part of the Scripps News Group.
The countdown to Mardi Gras is on, with Fat Tuesday just days away. This is a live look at Bourbon Street, courtesy of EarthCam, as New Orleans gears up for its biggest celebration of the year.
But the fun isn't staying in the Big Easy. Plenty of bakeries here in the Bluegrass are getting ready with king cakes. Only this year, the price of eggs could put a squeeze on the celebration. LEX 18's Evelyn Schultz reports from Midway Bakery.
This is where a classic king cake begins, at Midway Bakery.
But it's king cake time, right? We got Mardi Gras coming up in a few days.
These pastries provide a taste of the Big Easy right here in the Bluegrass.
These are so good. We have people here who send these king cakes back to New Orleans because they stand up against the New Orleans king cake. And I think that's something pretty special.
While Mardi Gras may be a party, the cost of eggs is no reason to celebrate this year. Bakeries like Midway are now dealing with record prices for the kitchen staple.
It's definitely having an impact on operations, but it's something that we are fielding as a team, right? And we're fielding as an organization, and we're not passing that on to the customer.
A bakery manager told us before the pandemic they paid about $30 for 15 dozen eggs. Today they're paying nearly $140 for the same amount. That adds up when each king cake uses about half an egg.
We're taking it in stride as operational costs, and we're just hoping that it works itself out.
Until then, they're focusing on the positive and the delicious taste of each colorful dessert.
Let's cut into one of these king cakes.
Time. This is the best part.
I'll let you do the honors.
That's right. We'll just get in there. And we'll. How about that? Right there. I'll cut one for me.
All right.
There we go.
Let's try it.
Oh, it's unraveling. This is the best.
Cheers. Oh my gosh.
Oh man. That's so good.
That is amazing.
In Woodford County, Evelyn Schultz, LEX 18 News.
Well, the Lexington Legends are joining the trend of allowing new facial hairstyles for their players.
Love this idea. Yeah, it comes after the New York Yankees updated their policy last week. The Legends say they are now allowing mustaches, which will bring a touch of old school baseball flair to the ballpark. The team says it's a blend of traditional entertainment while embracing what makes the Legends a staple in the community. Beards and goatees will not be allowed under this new rule. Well, here's what's in the works tonight on LEX 18 News.
UK students came together today standing up against anti-DEI legislation. Their comments coming up at 11 as they join other college students from across the Commonwealth. Evening Edition is back after this.
All right, Kentucky's had some big games this year. None like the one they have coming up on Saturday. The Wildcats hosting #1 Auburn in Rupp Arena. We're going to help you get ready for that one, talking all about the Wildcats, get you injury updates. Also, Janai Broome coming in to play against the Wildcats, the former Morehead State player, now basically a National Player of the Year. So can they stop him and the rest of the Tigers? Also, let's talk about last night's women's game, because what a rout of the Tennessee Volunteers. You're going to hear from those Wildcats as well.
Well, we also will continue our senior stories. We were able to bring 2 of those to Big Blue Nation last night. We have 2 more on deck tonight at 7:30. And what that means is you'll get the chance to meet 2 more fans, 2 more families directly impacted by this year's senior class. One that lives in Burlington up in northern Kentucky, one that lives in Georgetown just down the road. These are 2 more incredible stories you will not want to miss, and you won't be able to see anywhere else. So make sure you're with us tonight at 7:30 on BBN Tonight.
Hi, I'm Tony Hawk, and like many of you, I take a statin to reduce cholesterol. But statins can also deplete CoQ10 levels. That's why my doctor recommended Cunol CoQ10. Cunol has the #1 cardiologist recommended form of CoQ10. Cunol, the brand I trust.
For the best high school sports coverage, get in the zone. Count on the LEX 18 High School Sports Zone. Friday nights during LEX 18 News at 11.
Sponsored by DQ.
How can anybody think I'm guilty? I said, OJ, everybody thinks you're guilty.
Trial and Error. Why did OJ win? New episode Sunday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
Your favorite Wildcats.
Favorite show. Everything you want to know about UK sports.
In a way you can't get anywhere else.
This is BBN Tonight.
Weeknights at 7:30.
BBN Tonight, sponsored locally by Nissan and UK Healthcare.
Junior achievement is where dreams take flight. We are helping students connect what they learn in school to future work and career success. We are teaching them how to manage money to achieve financial security as adults. And we are showing them that starting a business also means changing lives and communities. However, we can't do it alone. Find out how you can help.
No matter how you look at what we do here at LEX 18, it always will come back to people.
We want to figure out how we can help. What are the issues that you're facing?
It means we care. If we're following through on a story, that means we care.
Growing up, my mom was a local news anchor, and even when I was little, I saw my mom speak to people that you would never get an opportunity to speak with. That seemed interesting and also fulfilling to me. What set Scripps News apart, we travel to the story. We talk to the people on the ground to bring the viewer details that impacts actual people's lives.
Liz Landers, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Well, a little reverting back to winter tomorrow. It's not awful. At least we don't have any snow in the forecast. We are dry this weekend, but it's chilly. High temperatures only in the low 40s tomorrow, upper 30s on Sunday, but we get a good amount of sunshine. Next week, we're watching a little bit more active weather. Temperatures warm back up into the 60s, but then beyond that, we're back in the 40s. So it's kind of that bouncing around again. Late winter, early spring, that happens.
Okay. Thank you for watching LEX 18 News Evening Edition.
Have a good
From your official UK station for Big Blue Nation, this is BBN Tonight, presented by UK Healthcare.
Welcome to BBN Tonight. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Keith Farmer.
And I'm Maggie Davis. March starts tomorrow. Can you believe it? And I'm not sure if you've heard, but the #1 team in the country is coming to town.
Yeah, the Tigers haven't won in Lexington since 1988. The Cats haven't knocked off #1 since 2019. Plus, each team still jockeying for postseason position. That's tonight's Big Blue story presented by CHI St. Joseph Health. It's the Cats and Tigers Saturday afternoon at 1 on ABC, and Kentucky's second to last home game. Auburn with a chance to clinch the SEC's regular season. The Tigers are 26-2, coming off a 30-point beatdown over Ole Miss. Janai Broome is the front runner for the Wooden Award. Not a lot going wrong, really, for Bruce Pearl's team this season. Mark Pope told us today what makes them so good.
Yeah, there's a lot to see that makes them so good. To get a base value, Bruce is, doing his thing, right? He keeps it really, really simple and puts guys in a position to play where they're really familiar with what they're doing and they're really good at it. And he's got, most of the time he's got 5 guys on the floor that are all capable of putting up 20 on any given night. They're incredible shot makers. They make really, really hard shots. Their front line is really, really impactful on the offensive glass. They have a physicality and a creativity to their game that's pretty special.
It's a team that kind of reminds me of earlier Kentucky this season when they were healthy. And it was like, who do you stop,
Yeah.
Which player is going to go off and give you the most points? This is what this Auburn team does. Which one do you take away? And if you do, there's others that can step up and have a big night.
Absolutely. And because of that, they're really good at closing out games. So a lot of the close games they've been in, clearly you look at that record, they've been able to take care of business most of the time.
And it is March. There are going to be closer games. All right, let's talk about Janai Broome. Might be the best player in the nation. The former Morehead State Eagle has been a dominant force since he transferred to play on the Plains in 2022. Here a look at the numbers, averaging almost 19 and 12 a night, 3.5 assists as well. It's been spectacular, shooting over 50% from the field, almost 30% from 3. He is the engine for one of the best offenses in the country and has scored more than 30 twice this season.
Like, he's really out there playing the game, enjoying the game. He's, we talk about this all the time. Most of us do the game. He plays it. He plays it at a really high level. It's hard to get him rushed. It's hard to get him sped up. He makes, he's got a whole bevy of junk shots that he makes around the rim, and he can space out the floor and make shots there. He's his speed, super, super physical, really, really creative, his pace player.
What's crazy is he opened his freshman season at Morehead against Kentucky, opened his sophomore season at Morehead against Auburn, and now here he is, on the big stage, and now he's up again for Player of the Year.
A fun fact you can only get from Keith Farmer. That's awesome. Very cool. Now, Broome certainly has a lot of great players around him, too, and for Kentucky, well, it's all about who's playing in general as injuries continue to dominate the Cats' story this season.
The Cats were only briefly at full strength on Saturday before Robinson returned to the bench with ice on his right wrist. Here's the latest from Coach Pope.
Lamont came out great. Jack's not quite so great. Andrew Carr came out really well. Amari seems like he had a decent day yesterday. We'll know more about him today. So a little bit of a mixed bag.
All right, with only 3 more regular season games left on the schedule, let's turn our attention back to this year's group of seniors. 7 Wildcats Big Blue Nation has fallen in love with this year.
Absolutely, and a shared love of the Wildcats is as generational as a last name. The Studers, who live in Burlington, Kentucky, have passed it down well, but one Wildcat in particular is their number one.
I was born into a UK family.
A familiar story in Big Blue Nation.
My grandfather, her grandparents.
Fanfare passed down like folklore.
Pretty much forcing Kentucky games on and giving them all the exposure to it I can as early and often as I could.
Just like his parents, Boone was born into this.
He just kind of got obsessed with watching the games on TV with us.
But he was also born with a rare condition.
It's called recessive dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. It's a mouthful. Usually it just goes by RDEB. He was born and he's missing a protein in his skin. And this protein helps your skin's layers bind together. So he doesn't have that protein. So it makes his skin really fragile. Any kind of friction or bump to his skin can cause it to blister or shear off or tear. Boone has to wear bandages on pretty much his entire body just to protect it from, certain frictions and to protect his wounds and prevent infection in his wounds.
A family friend helped the Studers get tickets for UK versus Brown on New Year's Eve, so Boone could experience his first Kentucky game in person.
Did you like going to Rupp?
Yeah.
After that first time in Rupp Arena, Boone was hooked on all of the Wildcats.
Now we probably watch anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of Kentucky basketball highlights on YouTube a day.
But he did have a favorite.
Just hearing Butler over the PA during the game, and it stuck after that. It only took one half. We got the jersey for him at halftime of that game, and he pretends to be Lamont in the living room, and so that's when I took a picture of him in the jersey, DM'd it to Lamont on Instagram. Instantly messaged me back, wow, that's amazing. I'd love to sign that jersey for your son. That was on a Monday. I read it on a Monday night. I bought tickets to a game versus Texas A&M the next night. Right after the game, he came right out and walked right up to him, and they had a really, really cool interaction. I'm just really thankful because it's something he hasn't forgotten. It's something I'll never forget. Who's your favorite Kentucky basketball player? Butler.
How many days a week is he in this jersey?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every single day. I don't think Lamont or his parents realize the impact that experience has had on Boone's life. He's just extremely resilient. He sees Butler fall down on the TV. I think it really pushes him through a lot of hard times in his life, and when I see him push through, I think it encourages us to push through as well. Lamont, I wish we got you more than 1 year at Kentucky, but I'm thankful for the year that we've had. I'm so thankful for the experience that you've given my son and my family and the memory that we'll cherish for the rest of our lives. And no matter where you go, no matter where life takes you, just remember that you always have 3 fans in Northern Kentucky.
Puts a lump in your throat every single time. Yeah. Thank you so much, of course, to the Studer family for sharing all of that with us. And you can tell they've raised Boone to be a big UK fan. I love that he wears that jersey every day.
I remember when Butler transferred here, there was a San Diego State fan that tweeted out, hey, take care of him because he took care of us. And you see why now from stories like this.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up next, more on last night's incredible win for the UK women's basketball team, plus another story on another senior.
Well, you know Kirk Kriisa is going to be a fun one, maybe a little wild. You're watching BBN tonight. We'll be right back.
We're proud of our 5-star reviews because every star and every review represents the hands-on care, attention, and expertise that helped guide a customer home. Like star number 587 that says, "She made what I thought would be a complicated process smooth and easy." And especially star number 68,912. Buying a home is hard, but she made it worth every step. Thank you for being a rock star. Stockton Mortgage, 70,000 stars and counting.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My pa's the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifle man. Just make it good.
favorite Wildcats
favorite show. Everything you want to know about UK sports.
in a way you can't get anywhere else.
This is BBN Tonight.
Weeknights at 7:30.
BBN Tonight, sponsored locally by Nissan and UK Healthcare.
As a legal journalist, every time I step into the Supreme Court, I am always in awe. In today's society, the law affects everyone. And that's why it's very important for people to be informed, especially when it comes to the law. I see it as a great responsibility to be able to parse out all of the information that may be wrong and bring the facts.
Avajoy Burnett, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
There are moments when it gets scary.
You hear shooting down there?
And the important thing to do is not panic. Be dynamic.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
I love that Scripps News gives me the opportunity to go where the stories are. You meet the most amazing people, everyday individuals whose stories take bravery to tell. These are stories the world should know about.
Jason Bellini, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from around the world, stream Scripps News.
I have always been someone who cares about the truth and getting the accurate information, and I think we've been able to uncover some pretty serious things.
I mean, do you feel safe at school? How big of an issue is this?
Scripps News supports one of the most important things that I care about, which is ethics.
Is that acceptable?
Ethics, accuracy, and truth are the key points, and if there is something dark that needs to be brought to light, that's what we do best.
Lori Jane Gleha, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News. This Tuesday, Scripps News Group takes you state to state for reactions and real-life impacts of the new presidential policies. A Scripps News Group special report, The State of Our Union, Tuesday at 7, streaming on Scripps News.
Growing up, my mom was a local news anchor, and even when I was little, I saw my mom speak to people that you would never get an opportunity to speak with. That seemed interesting and also fulfilling to me. What set Scripps News apart, we traveled to the story. We talked to the people on the ground to bring the viewer details that impacts actual people's lives.
Liz Landers, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Welcome back into BBN Tonight. Kirk Karista's fiery personality and penchant for a bit of trash talk has cemented his place in Big Blue Nation's collective heart, even while a foot injury has him sidelined. But it was his humility and his kindness that caught the attention of Stephen Horn and his son Zach during the team's trip to Texas, although Kerr's infectious spirit might also be a little contagious. I bet Kerr sat in this seat before.
Really?
It's not every day you get to shoot around with your favorite player.
Like Mark Pope, or someone draws plays on there, and they sit and watch.
Some days you're just stuck with me.
Oh.
After getting to travel with the team on a recent road trip, Zach Horn is no longer easily impressed.
He was the only kid that was on the trip, so he felt a little bit out of place and, maybe like he was in the way. At times I could just see he felt a little self-conscious. So when he was sitting on the bench watching the team shoot around, and then Kerr came over and kind of like put his arm around him and like pulled him in and started talking to him, I could just see his like face light up.
I was on the team's bench, and then he came and sat beside me. When the team was done, he asked for a ball, and then he let me come up and said, let's see what you got. I tried to scoot up to the free throw line, but then he told me to scoot back to the three. Well, I missed like every single shot, but then I finally made it after like 17 tries.
And this is just a small clip. This is like, one snapshot of one thing that I got to witness firsthand of him kind of taking my son under his wing when he was the only kid around. And I'm sure there's countless of other things that he's done that nobody even knows about or talks about, but I'm sure that has just as much impacted whoever those people are.
Shooting with my favorite Kentucky basketball player was really fun.
Why is he your favorite player?
Because he's funny and he's also good.
Were you nervous to talk to him?
Yes, very nervous.
Well, Zach's dad can maybe relate to that.
I could see what was happening, but I couldn't hear. And I literally thought to myself, he could literally be saying anything right now. I have no idea. And I know at one point he called Lamont over because he asked him how old he was, and he said he was 10. And they were like talking trash to him because I'm 6'6". He's tall for his age. Like Lamont and Kerr are talking trash to him, like, you're not 10, you're lying to us. And so it's just, he's just playful in everything he does, and it's infectious.
I just couldn't get them to believe that I was 10 years old because of my height.
Now, a few weeks later, Zach's ready to take one more shot at his favorite trash-talking Wildcat.
If you could tell him something about you, what would you tell him about you?
That I'm better at basketball than him.
Shots fired by Steven there. Steven and Zach there at the end.
Was he better than you as well?
Oh, yes. But I set a very low bar. Thank you to the Horn family for that one. And of course, that does make 4. Amari, Ansley, Lamont, and Kerr. If you've missed any of these stories, or hey, if you just want to watch them again, you can find all of them on our website, top of the page, bbntonight.com. Of course, we have 3 more still coming your way next week. Make sure you're back with us. Same time, same place. As always, on Monday, we'll have more on the Cats next.
Lots of banks say they have great customer service, but to know for sure, you've got to ask the customers. Republic Bank customers are nearly 3 times more likely to recommend us to friends and family. Choose a bank you can brag about. It's just easier here. Member FDIC.
As a legal journalist, every time I step into the Supreme Court, I am always in awe. In today's society, the law affects everyone. And that's why it's very important for people to be informed, especially when it comes to the law. I see it as a great responsibility to be able to parse out all of the information that may be wrong and bring the facts.
Avajoy Burnett, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
My favorite part of this job is traveling, and there's nothing that can ever replace being on the ground, bringing a first-person perspective. There were videos of homes floating by. We are sharing stories that transcend whatever you might see on screen. This is by far the most widespread destruction. Give light, and the people will find their own way really is incredibly important in what journalism is supposed to be. Dan Grossman, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Coming soon to Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
He is the boogeyman.
Lori Daybell.
She said, I will have you destroyed.
She's got another murder trial coming up.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
We will not stop fighting. We have no quit.
Sean Diddy Combs arrested on a federal indictment.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV. Join the case that puts you in the middle of the mystery.
The answer's in front of us.
And keeps you guessing till the very end.
It's anyone's guess who's next.
Every twist, every turn.
Everything we need to find this guy is right here.
Eye on Mystery. Join the investigation. Ion is on with 3 networks to enjoy.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, showtime.
You're gonna want to see this.
It's on. Ion, Ion Plus, and Ion Mystery. It's on.
Your favorite Wildcats.
Favorite show. Everything you want to know about UK sports.
In a way you can't get anywhere else.
This is BBN Tonight.
Weeknights at 7:30.
BBN Tonight, sponsored locally by Nissan and UK Healthcare.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My paw is the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman.
Just make it good.
Lots of banks say they have great customer service, but to know for sure, you've got to ask the customers. Republic Bank customers are nearly 3 times more likely to recommend us to friends and family. Choose a bank you can brag about. It's just easier here. Member FDIC.
Well, the Kentucky women's basketball team defeated Tennessee last night, and they broke a handful of records while doing it. Deja Lawrence received her game ball right before tip-off. She's now eclipsed 1,500 points in her career. Post-game, how about a 24-point win, 82-58, the largest margin of victory the Cats have ever had over Tennessee. The previous best was 21 points back in that 2020 SEC tournament.
Claire Strack broke the record for most blocks in a season with 67, while the team reset the record for most blocks in a season with 182, and there's still more season left. Sierra Newton was there for it all and has more.
Well, Coach Kenny Brooks and his crew sure know how to close out a home season with a dominating win over the Tennessee Volunteers, 82-58. The Cats now move on to 11-4 in the SEC. Kentucky started the night shooting 50% from the field, and within the first 5 minutes, Claire Strack had an early 9, including one from behind the arc. Kentucky had a strong defensive presence in the first quarter, only allowing 9 from the Volunteers. In the second quarter was continued dominance from there. Strack was already leading nearly a double-double at the half with 17 points, shooting perfect from the field, 8 for 8. Tiani Key had 14, and as a team, the Cats were shooting 53% and holding UT to 25. Kentucky started the second half much like the first, a full throttle team effort on the defensive end and a great shooting night on the offensive end. Lawrence scored 10 in the third quarter alone, pushing UK's lead of 31. And as a whole, Kentucky broke the school record of blocks with 182. Kentucky finished with 4 Wildcats in double figures, 23 and 15 from Clara Strack, 18, 7 assists from Amore, 18 points, 10 rebounds from Tiani Key, and 13 from Deja Lawrence. As a team, the Cats shot 51% from the field and out-rebounded the Volunteers 52-31.
Clara scores 23 points, Georgia has 18, and we can shoot the basketball. But our defense is pretty good, and I think it gets overlooked because, we don't do the things that some people think that defense is made of, like trapping and, pressing and doing that kind of stuff. We know what we're supposed to do. We're built off of, guarding the paint. We have, which is, I guess, the best shot blocking team in school history. And, we're long, we're athletic. And so we go in and we contest the shots, and then we go out and we try to clean up the play and finish it by rebounding the basketball, and then we get it out and we're able to go. This year it's been a little bit more free. It's been more her calling, the shots and what she wants out on the floor, or just going with the fast break because of our defense. And our defense has really, given us a lot of offensive opportunities. So I'm extremely proud, of our defense because it doesn't get talked about as much, but we go in, game out, and we're holding people below their averages.
The Wildcats kept hearing that this was a must-win game, and they did more than that by dominating in the 24-point rout over the Tennessee Volunteers. Now the Wildcats set their sights to number 6 South Carolina on Sunday, March 2nd. That game is at 2 p.m. on ESPN. But for now, from Memorial Coliseum, Sierra Newton for BBN Tonight.
Thanks, Sierra. The Cats have clinched the 4th seed in the SEC tournament, meaning they have earned that coveted double bye, so their postseason will start on Friday, March 7th in Greenville. More BBN Tonight after this.
Oh, hey. With AI, it's hard to tell what's for real. For example, Matt Jones rooting for the car.
L's up, L1B4.
Yeah, not real. Kobe Brea trading the court for the canvas.
Magnifique.
I love it. Yeah, not real. UKFCU offering you a new high-yield savings account earning as high as 4%. Now that's for real. And real recognizes real.
Growing up, my mom was a local news anchor, and even when I was little, I saw my mom speak to people that you would never get an opportunity to speak with. That seemed interesting and also fulfilling to me. What set Scripps News apart, we traveled to the story. We talked to the people on the ground to bring the viewer details that impacts actual people's lives.
Liz Landers, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
There are moments when it gets scary.
You hear shooting down there?
And the important thing to do is not panic, be dynamic.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
I love that Scripps News gives me the opportunity to go where the stories are. You meet the most amazing people, everyday individuals whose stories take bravery to tell. These are stories the world should know about.
Jason Bellini, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from around the world, stream Scripps News.
My favorite part of this job is traveling, and there's nothing that can ever replace being on the ground, bringing a first-person perspective. There were videos of homes floating by. We are sharing stories that transcend whatever you might see on screen. This is by far the most widespread destruction. Give light, and the people will find their own way really is incredibly important in what journalism is supposed to be. Dan Grossman, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
This is where it gets interesting.
Count on the most trusted name in local weather anytime, everywhere you need us. LEX 18 Storm Tracker Weather and MaxTrack Live Doppler. In partnership with Furniture World, Greenbox Home Services, and Thoroughbred Roofs.
Covering the White House, you are in the center of where everything is happening in our government. There are really important issues happening in our country right now. People have questions about where the economy is headed, immigration policies, how the U.S. is handling global conflicts. My job is to bring meaningful answers and ask critical questions that impact everyday lives for our viewers.
Haley Bull, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Junior achievement is where dreams take flight. We are helping students connect what they learn in school to future work and career success. We are teaching them how to manage money to achieve financial security as adults. And we are showing them that starting a business also means changing lives and communities. However, we can't do it alone. Find out how you can help.
Welcome back to BBN Tonight. The House versus the NCAA settlement has been looming and, if enacted, would allow schools to directly pay student athletes.
So this week, UK and U of L's athletic directors pushed for change at the Kentucky Capitol. They want lawmakers to take action now so that Kentucky schools can stay competitive in the future. Our Carolina Buchek has more.
Big sports schools across the country are scrambling right now to stay ahead of potential national changes that could very soon be coming. That's what brought the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville to the Capitol today. And both schools' athletic directors want lawmakers to say yes to this bill. What it does is modernize the state's name, image, and likeness laws.
We have to be ready now. Our staffs, it's important to give them time to prepare, not only during the upcoming 3 months, but as we go forward as of July 1.
Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director at the University of Kentucky, is talking about preparing for the very real possibility of schools being allowed to directly compensate their athletes. How would this be allowed? Well, there's a ruling that will soon be coming down on House versus NCAA, which is an antitrust lawsuit against the National Collegiate Athletics Association. And if the settlement in that suit is finalized, it would allow schools to opt into a system where they can allocate $20 to $22 million annually in revenue sharing. It also includes a fund of more than $2.5 billion to retroactively pay athletes. And Kentucky's current name, image, and likeness laws don't allow this. So the state's top sports programs want to stay ahead in order to be competitive. Schools in other states, like Georgia, a direct competitor for Kentucky, are prepping too. So we asked Barnhart, if this bill doesn't pass, would Kentucky be hurt in terms of recruitment?
Yeah, it would be difficult, and we want to make sure that we're not put in that position. We're not putting our coaches in that position. And more importantly, we're not taking opportunities away from our young people that they've been afforded to by law.
Now, some lawmakers reluctantly voted yes on Senate Bill 3 today. They expressed concern that NIL has potentially ruined college sports, but they also acknowledge that things are so different now. Others expressed hope that maybe direct compensation could move college sports away from constant transfer portal hopping. For BBN Tonight, I'm Carolina Buchek.
Well, thanks, Carolina. And of course, a big thank you to the Studers and the Horns for joining us tonight, and to our guy, Nick Lazaroff, photographer extraordinaire, for helping me tell all those stories and bring them to you.
We'll see you on Monday for more BBN Tonight. Until then, don't forget to catch BBN Game Day, and we'll see you back here on Monday talking about the Cats and the Tigers.
Watch live TV for free. Meet Tablo. Access over 90 free channels, including popular shows, news, and live sports. Plus, you can record, pause, and replay. Always 0 monthly fees or contracts. Order a Tablo Total System at TabloTV.com or these popular retailers.
This